And now they're getting ready for the Oakland A's, which the Oakland A's, everyone going into the season was thinking, no expectations for the A's. Not as bad as people have thought so far, though, right, guys? Like, they're not the Chicago White Sox bad, where the White Sox, when it rains, it pours. They've won 3 games and they're 3-22. The Oakland A's are sitting at 9-16. Okay, so they just spent time in New York, played the New York Yankees. They actually play tonight to close out that series. They've lost it. They've dropped the last 2 games after winning the first one there. This is a series, guys, and maybe Kev, you want to start with this one, but again, this is another series that Baltimore should be favored to win, and rightfully so.
They should be. Oakland is a team that's kind of middling in power right now. They're 17th in home runs. They don't really drive in a lot of runs either in terms of RBIs. They're 29th in the league. So to me, I think this is a series where I want to see really strong Baltimore pitching. Specifically, maybe this is a get-right series for the bullpen. To me, I think that the A's do have talent. I'm not saying that they don't. And as you mentioned, Ryan, they've started off better than people anticipated they were going to. But to me, I think, in all of sports, there are get-right moments and get-right series. I mean, we just finished talking about Gunnar. There was all this conversation very early, very, very early this season of, he's struggling here and he's struggling. He got it right. He's getting it together now. I think this bullpen, it hasn't been pretty in some moments for sure. I think we can all admit that. But I think that in this series, if you're able to limit Oakland's power, limit them driving in runs, this could be the moment we look back on. Maybe this series is the one where some of these guys who are struggling a little bit find some mojo with a couple of good outings, and they continue that throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I think also people need to realize the Orioles actually had a top 5 bullpen last year with a lot of the same guys. Yes, Batista was a massive part of that, right? Being the closer, but guess what? Craig Kimbrell's been great, but a lot of those arms are still there. And they've had the moments where they've been shut down, and they've had some moments where they let up runs. That's just a part of it. The Orioles keep winning. You guys want to take a guess whose bullpen's actually done a pretty good job so far this year?
Oakland.
That is correct. Oakland actually is sitting in the top half of their bullpen. They got a 3.15 ERA so far this year, and they sit now with the 8th best ERA for bullpens, right? So Baltimore right now is a little bit further down the list at a 4.12. To give you context, and the big guy in their bullpen, Zach, the name that there's a lot of players you probably aren't aware of on the Oakland A's as far as their position players, but one name that's had a lot of buzz is out of the bullpen, their closer, Mason Miller.
Gosh, talk about I actually saw Jared Carabas talked about this the other day. He said there's one guy that it doesn't matter who the A's are playing. Obviously, you're not going to watch a lot of A's games. When Mason Miller takes the mound, you turn on the A's because it is that electrifying. We watched him strike out the Yankees, pretty much made it look like he was playing a U12 team. And that is not, it's not like he was facing the bottom half order of the Yankees either. He went through Judge. He went through Soto. He hit the meat of the lineup, and he made them look horrible because it is hard to hit a ball when it's coming 103 with movement. And he makes guys look silly right now. So he's definitely someone I would like the Orioles to avoid, especially if they are down in a game. Because right now, when he comes in at only 25 years old also, so this is not a veteran. This is a young up-and-coming guy that they hope can be good for a very long time. He's someone I hope the Orioles don't have to deal with.
Yeah, right now, Mason Miller, to give you guys context of just what he's done so far, well, he's got a 1.8 ERA. You can say, hey, that's pretty good for whatever you want to consider it. This is where it gets a little scary. 10 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks, and 20 strikeouts. So he's striking out for every inning that he pitches. He's striking out at least 2 batters. That is terrifying. And you're right. If you saw the Yankees when he closed it out against the likes of Soto and Judge, he was blowing heaters right by him. He goes, hey, you probably know what's coming, but guess what? You ain't touching this. And guess what? They weren't touching it. And that's just something to keep in mind in this situation.
He reminds me a lot of Felix Bautista in the fact of, you know what pitch is coming, but that does not mean that you're going to be able to hit it. And if you do, you are not going to be able to hit it well.
Yeah, I mean, that's why also, if you looked at Felix Bautista last year, he could throw 100 down the middle or in that vicinity, and the way your ball hops. So to give you guys context, if you don't know what that means, Fastballs, sometimes they can run and they can hop, meaning as they feel like they're getting to the plate, they feel like they almost just take off. Then you have the ones that are the sinker types, or maybe the two-seamers where the ball's going away, or the sinker, the ball's dropping off the table. And then they have their secondary pitches. And Mason Miller, imagine you're trying to ramp up for 101, 102, and then he's going to break off a slider right at the end that breaks X amount, right? Batista, what got him so much success was that Batista had that rising fastball that if you made contact with it, there was one moment really last year where someone actually touched Felix Batista on his heater, and it was Kyle Tucker for the grand slam against Houston. I believe it was his fastball, but that was down the middle. But my point being, when guys throw that hard, it's hard to get those guys. But then Felix splitter that plays off of it is disgusting. Mason Miller has a similar aura to him, Zach, that you are alluding to.
Yeah, actually,
we can have some success.
Real quickly, I'm going to share my screen. Courtesy of Pitching Ninja. Here is Mason Miller versus Juan Soto, 9th inning, 103. There's not much you can do about that. We'll get one more time. Bam. And that is probably one of the best, whether he's playing like it or not. Obviously, I think he is, but Juan Soto at all times is probably the hardest guy to strike out in the league.
Yeah. And we talked about that. We did the breakdown. It was one of my first Know Your Foe breakdowns was Juan Soto, and actually on balls inside the strike zone, when it says for the whiff percentage, meaning how many times he misses when he swings, you have the red zones, mean that it happens a lot. His was all blue. Okay. He doesn't miss on balls in the zone.
Not trying to go off on a Juan Soto thing, but did you see the other day where he struck out on 7 balls? Where he watched 7 balls, not a single one was in the strike zone, and he struck out. He did swing the bat once, but that's for a different conversation. I just wanted to bring that up. Well, Juan Soto knows the strike zone, and he doesn't strike out.
Oh, gosh. Well, then he definitely does. And the Orioles are going to see Juan Soto and the Yankees after this A's series. But, guys, they're actually, just to give you a little bit more context with this team, let's just go through guys who have been doing, something for them. And this hasn't been how do I put this? It's been a struggle for them to score runs. Zach Geloff, a guy that is actually from Delaware, Rehoboth Beach, I believe. And I think he's dealing with an injury. He got scratched, so we want to monitor there. Brent Rooker came back from him having some sore ribs, but Brent Rooker was their guy last year. That was their best hitter on the team, best power guy, all-star. But a lot of their guys right now are struggling to hit. That's just a reality of the situation here. And Kevin, you alluded to it. The Orioles, for them, if the Orioles continue to put together consistent at-bats over and over again and make the A's play catch-up, it's going to be really hard to catch this Baltimore lineup that seems 1 through 9 can just put the ball out of the ballpark or make something happen at the snap of a finger.
Right. I mean, the Orioles offense ranks in the top 2, top 3 of nearly every single category. I mean, we've talked about it at length. There are pretty much no holes in the lineup. So for an Oakland team, again, middling power team, not great at driving runs in. I agree with you, Ryan, where that's why I go back to the bullpen and say you get that bullpen a large lead. Now, we've seen some dicey moments this year in terms of the bullpen with those leads, but we've also seen them shut guys down, like you said. Maybe, hopefully, this is a series where you don't have to have Kimbrel pitch the 9th and go for saves because your offense has mashed the heck out of the ball and the other guys in the bullpen get their mojo going. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Baltimore's offense put up some good numbers in this series. Now, you don't want to get to the Mason Miller moments. I think you mentioned it. You're trying to avoid that. But at the end of the day, if Baltimore's up 7-2, I feel pretty confident just because of the way Oakland's offense has performed so far this year.
Yeah. And look, when they won that game in New York, it was 2-0, right? The Yankees couldn't score runs. And then the Oakland A's squeeze a couple by and whammy.
It was a 9th inning 2-run home run. So it wasn't even like the A's, manufactured. It was a
home run. That's what I'm saying. They squeezed a couple runs out from a mistake pitch, Ryan Noda. And then there's Mason Miller. Get him hot. And when they're up, Mason Miller does his thing. So it's all context with it. What do you got?
JJ Bleday has the highest average of all qualified Oakland Athletics, so qualified hitters, and it is 235. The team average is second worst in the MLB at 202. in front of only the Chicago White Sox, who, fun fact, since opening day, the Chicago White Sox have won less games, 3, than the UConn Huskies men basketball team, who have won 4.
Makes you feel really good. We're gonna have to get Gavin Sheets on to have a little pulse check.
I'll bring that up to him if it's still. Hopefully, by when he comes on, it's not still correct. But
yeah, for their sake, it's been a rough go. And this is when we're saying, when we mentioned in the past about you just need to be in the hunt after the first month. You just don't want to be out of it. White Sox are already out of it. That's the thing that
they're
sucks.
done. They're out of here. But Wired, the whole tired. What tired? No one on the White Sox is playing well. Wired looks like Gavin Sheets would be their AL All-Star right now. So been seeing a lot of that stuff. So.
We want the Gavin Sheets All-Star. We're going to start pushing that agenda.
We're going to have to.
We're going to go 2 for 2. It's going to be Gavin Sheets All-Star, Nick Moore Pro Bowl. We're gonna go 2 for 2 on our agendas,
and we'll hang the banners too. Don't worry, we'll get banners and we'll hang them back.
We need their jerseys. We need jerseys.
Or both.
Yeah,
both.
Yeah,
we'll make their jerseys into banners.
Yeah,
there we go. But I also going back to, and even if you want to look at the pitching matchups, I know it's Stripling versus Burns on Friday for tomorrow. You would hope the Orioles would win that pitching matchup pretty early on. Stripling hasn't had a great year, 5.34 ERA. I mean, we know what Burns has done. You're not worried about him. Maybe we get another Cole Irvin revenge game for the A's. I think that's a fun storyline to look at. I mean, I know he was last year. It's the second year with Baltimore, but it's Sears versus Irvin. I think that one is more evenly matched. I don't think there's a starter for Sunday yet. Is there? Am I seeing?
So not for the Orioles, but for the A's, it's Paul Blackburn. And actually, Blackburn's been their guy that's pitched very well. But to give you guys context, we talked about Corbin Burns, power pitcher, can get guys out, can strike guys out. Grayson Rodriguez, similar style. That's not Blackburn's style. Blackburn's style is not going to blow it by you. He's a guy that's going to go out there, going to try to induce soft contact. That's the goal. He's only got 23 Ks in 31 innings and walked 8. So he's going to be around the plate. And so far, he's only allowed 7 earned runs and 22 hits. So he's doing a really good job of that. And he's spotting a 2.03 ERA in his 5 starts so far. So, Kevin, you're right. The Orioles will see who that person's going to be that's starting Sunday.
There's a lot of speculation about if it's going to be John Means. I know that Brandon Hyde didn't necessarily say it wouldn't. They said they're still deciding on whether or not he would join the rotation, this kind of rotation or the next. So I'm not sure. Obviously, we don't have anything about that, but that could be interesting to keep an eye out in the next day or two to see if that gets announced.
Yep. And that's probably why with guys like Means and Bradish that seem close, you want to see what the Orioles are going to do. Time will tell. But what we do know is, again, when we're looking across the board, this is a series that the Orioles should win. And again, everyone's saying it'd be great they should sweep. Well, yeah, they have the ability to sweep, but keep this in mind. You keep winning series. You win 2 out of 3 constantly. If you won 2 out of 3 of every single game this year, that's a 66% win percentage for the Baltimore Orioles. That is that is beyond impressive, right? But for the Orioles in the cases, just win the series. You're at home. You feel things are going well. You have a lineup that you feel like you can plug guys in with righties and lefties, no problem. It's a good problem that the Orioles have here, and I can't wait to kind of see how that's going to kind of flow into as we move further into the season.
If you win 2 of 3, every time you win 107.